Hi software, welcome to the first of your lessons on arrays. Arrays are the fancy computer science term for lists, and they make our life a whole lot easier. So as you guys have noticed, there's no starter code for today. We're going to build some lists from the ground up, and then you guys are going to try building a list of your own and getting its contents to display on the screen. Please make sure that you have your editor open. Give it a smart name. Mine is called Navy Cedar right now, which is a pretty dumb one. You might want to call this like 2.2.0, like Intro to Arrays or How to Make Arrays or something so that when you look back at your notes, you know. And just make sure your screen is again set up so that you can see what I am doing and where your code is and you're ready to go. A reminder that you can watch this faster, slower, you can stop, you can rewatch, whatever you need to do to make sure you get your content. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we start making our array, we need to just remember, and I'm going to put a bunch of notes on the screen. Feel free to add them to yours or not. Arrays are the fancy computer science term for lists. And what that means is they organize a lot of information in one place. So we can call on it, update it, etc. Today what we're going to be focused on is reading lists, but generally we talk about lists having four major operations that we refer to as CRUD operations. You can create, you can read, you can update, and you can delete items from a list. And today we're really going to focus on these first two. We're going to create and we are going to read, and later we might talk a little bit about updating, but for right now I just want to be able to make a list and to get things from the list. So the first thing I want us to just think about is why lists are important to us. You guys probably see lists a lot in your everyday life. You see them on a lot of phone applications you use, sometimes very directly, sometimes behind the scenes. You might see them in like hard copy in your world. So if you use like a paper planner still, you might write lists in your paper planner. You might have parents that keep lists of things. And the list that I always like to start with for us is a grocery list. So if your family keeps a grocery list, maybe one of the ones like attached to the fridge, you might add things to the list. And when you go to the store, you can go down the list and find things. And this list is nice and neat and organized. And not all lists have these, but some lists come numbered. So you can both tell people things like go get this item or like go get the fourth item on the list. And that's what we're going to look at today. So I want to start by us just thinking about a grocery list. My notes are going to be really long. Feel free to not type all of these notes. We're not quite to the code piece yet. If I imagine we're going to the store for a list, I might start numbering and listing things that I need to buy. And because I'm making this list for a computer, my numbering system is going to look a little different. Something you may have noticed from our lessons and from the way Classroom and the notes are set up is that I don't start counting at 1. Like a computer, I start counting at 0. So this is our first big difference in working with computer lists versus real world lists. Computers start counting at 0. So again, if I'm going to the grocery store, I might need to buy oranges. Then the next thing I might need to buy could be apples. Maybe I need some celery. My computer is freezing. Maybe the next thing I need to buy is, oh God, this is hard when you guys aren't here to help me. Bread. Noodle pasta, we'll call it pasta, not noodles. Maybe my sixth thing is, I don't know, juice. My seventh thing is going to be broccoli, because I don't think I spelled it right. Don't at me. Then I will buy some crackers and cookies. So right now I have this long list of items. It goes 0 to 9. Which actually means that I have a list of 10 different things. Oranges, apples, celery, bread, pasta, juice, broccoli, crackers, cookies. I'm looking at this and realizing that most of it is not spelled right. And also that I forgot number 2. So in number 2, I'm going to buy some squash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, really hard to do this when I don't have students around to correct me. So I have all of these items in my list. And if I were going to the store, I could tell you, go get the squash. But I could also show you the list and say, go buy item 0 on this list, and you would know to run away and buy an orange and come back. If I said go buy item 8 on this list, you would know to go run away, buy crackers, and come back. This is going to be how our computer functions with an array. We're going to put these things into a list, and then we are going to tell the computer which item from the list we want it to retrieve. So let's start out by making our list. I'm going to try and make it with all of these things, so I might be scrolling up and down a little bit. But I'm just going to hop down a few lines. And I'm going to create my list right above setup. So I know I've added a lot of notes, but I am realistically just on the line above setup. And here, I'm going to make my very first list variable. So I'm going to write var grocery list is going to be the name of my variable. And then inside, attached to that variable, I'm going to save a list. And you'll notice that to save a list, I put these square brackets, not the curly brackets, not the parentheses, but squares. You find them on your keyboard on the same key with the curly braces, just don't hit shift when you hit them. And this is always how I denote an array or a list is happening, is with these square brackets. And everything that I am then going to put inside of there is going to be my list items. So my list items need to go into the list and be separated by a comma. So the first thing I'm putting in is oranges. Then I'm putting in a comma. Notice I'm putting oranges in quotations because it's a string. It's not a word the computer understands yet. It's not a variable. It's not something that has value. So to get the computer to know what this is, I'm sticking it in quotes. So I have oranges, then I have apples, then I have squash, which I originally forgot about. Then I have celery, which I still think is spelled wrong, bread, pasta, juice, broccoli, is it two? I don't know how to spell this, so I'm going to go with that. Crackers and cookies. So this is an entire grocery list that now exists in my computer. And if I wanted to, I could do a little console.log and setup just to see that it works. I could print out grocery list. And you will see that when I console.log grocery list, I'm going to get a bunch of items. But I also have, I'm going to make this bigger, I'm going to have this arrow next to it. If I click down on this arrow and I scroll down, you're going to see that the computer will break apart in the console every item and its number. So I know that the computer sees pasta as item 5. And these numbers are something called an index value. So I use these index values to call on my items. Now, if I did not want to print my entire list, if I just wanted to print one thing, after grocery list, I would put these square brackets again, and then inside the square brackets, I would put a number. So I'm going to stick in number 3, and I'm going to hit play. And now it only prints out celery because celery is 0, 1, 2, 3 in my list. You guys are welcome to pause here and try putting some other numbers in, but I'm now going to try and get celery to show up on my screen. So I'm going to head down to the draw function, give myself a little space. I'm going to be right underneath background. And I'm going to try and get celery to be a word that appears on my canvas. So I'm going to type in text, I'm going to type in grocery list, and I do not want the whole list, I just want one item, so I'm going to put those square brackets in, I'm going to stick the number 3 in, and then to display text, it needs the text and coordinates. So I'm going to put this at 2050 for coordinates, and then I'm going to hit play, and we should see that celery prints out on the screen. I can also go back up here and put in like number 6, and now I get juice on the screen even though my console is still logging celery at number 3. So these are the basics of how to create and read items from a list. What you guys are going to do as your task for this project is you're going to make one more list. So right here underneath var grocery list, you're going to make a variable for your favorite things, and you're going to make a list of at least 10 of your favorite things. Then practice printing at least one of them to the screen. So again, you're making an array that contains at least 10 of your favorite things, then you're printing at least one to the screen, and that is what you are turning into me. All right, guys, good luck.